What's up, guys? Welcome back. Workplay Obsession, Life, and Jiu Jitsu. So check it out. I'm here at the compound in Silver Spring, Maryland. You guys can see we changed up the format a little bit. I'm pushing everything to YouTube now. I was doing Facebook Live, but I realized a lot of people came back and said, hey, we don't reach out too much on Facebook. So YouTube Live, guys. We're going to stream all the videos from here. It'll be easy for you to get. Subscribe to the channel, guys, and then anytime something new comes up, you'll have the information, right? We're about a week away from the Trap BJJ Invitational. Will also be held here at the compound in Silver Spring, Maryland. That's May 11th. Guys, we're going to have 3 mats of action, white belt through black belt, some brown and black belt super matches. Whole event's going to be live streamed on the Trap BJJ YouTube page. It's going to be great, guys. Pretty excited. We did our audio visual checks last week. Everything's good to go. The live stream's good to go. We're going to have commentators on. And it's going to be great. Cash prizes, bonuses for submissions for the champion, everything you could imagine. Also coming up, guys, is Grappling Industries. Will be on May 18th. That's in Frederick. Another great event. I'll actually be out there. I think I'm working for part of the day out there. Not sure exactly what I'll be doing, but I'll definitely be out there. So come find me. Before we get into the interview, guys, let me apologize. My voice is a little bit raspy today. We were out partying. It's Friday, having a good time, and I overdid it on the voice. So, yeah, my man's coming right now. So once he gets on the set, we'll kick it in the interview.
There it is. There it is.
What's up, man?
Hey, my man.
What's going on?
Oh, man.
Some of you guys may have met Pal before, maybe not, but we'll let you introduce yourself, and then we'll run right into it, man.
All right. Pal Srikachorn. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for probably 11 years now. 3-stripe blue belt, which is a pretty damn shame, but stuck with it. Had some things going on, some injuries, but also the owner of the compound, BJJ Muay Thai and Combatives out here in Silver Spring. Just out here just trying to do it and give back to the jiu-jitsu community.
Great.
Thanks for having me on here.
Great. No, thank you for having me, actually, to sit down and have this conversation. So, guys, first of all, tomorrow, grand opening event tomorrow. Yeah. Depending on what time you watch this, I'll put it into actual time. It's May 4th tomorrow. So May 4th, the grand opening here. Guys are going to have a large open mat, food, drinks, music, camaraderie, all the good stuff that you look for when you go out to train, guys. So if you have the opportunity, if I get this out before that event happens, make it out for the open mat. If not, still feel free. They run open mats on Saturdays right now.
Saturdays.
So you can come by Saturday. What's the time on that?
12:30 until 2:30, 3 o'clock. This really all just depends on when people show up.
So there you go. So if you can't make the grand opening, or maybe this gets out to you a little bit late, we're going to have, they have open mats every weekend. So you can always come in, meet the guys and gals, meet the instructors, train, roll a little bit, and check out the place, man. This place is beautiful.
Thanks,
if you don't see it now, because we're just sitting in front of the logo, tune in on the 11th Trap BJJ Invitational on YouTube. You'll see the entire place, guys. We'll have all the mats going, bleachers, everything. It's going to be the full shebang. I'll be walking around doing a little video. So enough about that. Let's get into what I wanted to ask you about to let the people know. Let's talk a little bit about your background first. So not specifically your background with jiu-jitsu, but your background growing up, and where your passion for martial arts, where that came from.
So I grew up I'm born and raised Temple Hills, Maryland. So I'm a PG County boy at heart. And I bounced around from school to school, just really kind of growing up down there. So my introduction to martial arts, I can remember it vividly, man. It was funny. Back in the day, it was Junri karate. Okay. And I'll tell you how that came full circle later on. But so Junri karate, back when it was like Channel 4, you had A and B channels. There was this commercial, and there's this little kid, and he was standing up to this big dude, and he was like, "Nobody bothers me." And he would kick him, or he'd do whatever, and that was the commercial. That was the tagline. So I was like, man, I'm trying to do that. And, we couldn't afford it. So my dad was like, I remember my dad telling me, he said, no. He said, if you could roundhouse kick me in the face, then I'll pay for the classes, and I was
Nice.
like, well, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So
Challenge accepted.
yeah, right. So I just kind of picked up where I could. Being my dad's Thai, my mom's Filipino. My dad was real big into the Muay Thai stuff, so we had this VHS tape. It was literally just called Muay Thai, and it was like black and white, old school Muay Baran music and like videos of guys like literally in capri pants with their hands taped up, doing stuff, and I was like, oh, I want to do that, right? So I started doing that. But it wasn't really accepted in PG County. So it was like the big thing was boxing, So one of my mentors in life, and he's kind of like an honorary uncle, Buddy Harrison, he's been boxing his whole life, was really boxing, from when he was a teenager. So, he taught me some boxing, my friends did boxing, so we boxed a little bit,
right.
With them, and, just kind of stuck with it from there. I got into really wanting to do martial arts and specifically jiu-jitsu because looking at UFC 1, which is like what inspired everybody.
Yeah, that's where everybody makes reference to. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So it was watching like the smaller Hoist Gracie beat the bigger people, and being, the only like non-black kid in PG County, I was getting picked on a lot. So that was like really inspiring to me. So like when me and my best friend Sean we'd like play wrestle or we play fight, I would always catch him in like body triangles or like shit like that, and he'd be like, "Man, that sucks." And his big guy was like Tank Abbott. He was always just trying to knock somebody out.
Yeah.
So,
that was Tank style.
Yeah, right. So my whole thing was like, nah, man, I play passive because I'm a punk, you know what I mean? But so that's how it started, man. And so obviously, didn't do any jiu-jitsu, man, up until I enlisted in the military. I'm in Afghanistan in 2008, and I remember, man, I was in Neil Roberts' gym, and this dude was hitting the bags, and he had UFC gloves on, like 4-ounce gloves. And I'm like, dude, this dude's working.
Yeah.
And I saw him with another buddy. They started rolling, and I'm like, hey, is that jiu-jitsu? He's like, yeah. I'm like, can you teach me? He was a blue belt out of Team Rock,
right.
But
back then, a blue belt was. I'm not saying it's not anything, but it's different than now. Now the proliferation of jiu-jitsu it has proliferated so much. Like back then, a lot of schools didn't even have a black belt there. People didn't even roll with black belts at the time. Yeah. So back then it was like, man,
it was a big deal.
Yeah, this is a really big deal.
What was funny?
I'm just trying because I don't want you to be like, oh, he was a blue belt.
No. He was awesome.
Deal.
And I mean, he was like 2-1 MMA at that time, and he was going on and out of the goodness of his own heart, despite working 12, 13, 14-hour shift, he'd go and he'd hit up his his professor back in Fayetteville and just be like, what should I teach today? So that's how we got into it. So I did that for like 4 months, man. So big shout outs to Ruben Soul. Man, he kind of introduced me to it. So that's how I got my start, man.
Nice. So let's go back to what you hit on. You hit on the bullying aspect of it, growing up and dealing with that. How has that influenced what you plan to do here at the compound?
So it's a big thing. So in addition to the bullying, right? So I mentioned like with Junri Karate, we couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Right. So it was really disheartening knowing that it was just tough to get into something organized other than boxing, And so with here, obviously being jiu-jitsu is our like kind of our primary thing, and then Muay Thai obviously second. But we wanted to get kids the opportunity to come into a place where the gym didn't look at them like a member. Right. So that's our biggest thing.
Right.
I don't want man, I know it's so cliche to hear people say, like, oh man, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But I honestly wouldn't. Like, even my kids, I got 3 kids. Every single one of them, I tell them, I said, look, I will never force you to compete. Ever, but I will always force you to train, no matter what, because I don't want them to go through that. So I want the kids here to be able to have that opportunity and that outlet, and have it not so like commercialized and nickel and dimed, because parents can't do that, man. Especially in today's age, we're like more busy. And then I wanted to make sure that when they came to a place, it's a big risk, right? Yeah. So this gym is a big risk, man, and I wanted them to see like, okay, I can be in a nice place and it's cool, it's hip, and it's not a gimmick, and I'm learning stuff. So that's our big thing.
No, that's great.
Kids,
I mean,
man.
I know we've talked about it. We've talked about it before, and having the ability to provide that for children and to make it not so exactly like you said. So they're not just a number in the place. It's not just yes, you are a student, but you're not just a student.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's a family, right? And we're bringing everybody in. We care about each other. We want to know where you are, how you're doing in school, and things like that. So I think that's great. I think that's great. I think sometimes that gets lost, you know, and but I think you have that in the right. You guys have that in your hearts here. So let's talk about programs.
Yeah.
So what programs do you guys currently offer?
Man, we offer all kinds of different programs. So, look, so I'm happy about this, right? So I'll be real.
Yeah.
So I'm happy and I'm nervous.
Yep.
So I'm a first-time business owner, so I'm coming in this game humble.
Yep. Veteran. Right?
I'm a veteran, yeah.
Yep.
So veteran. So we have Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is kind of our number one thing. Muay Thai is our striking art. But we actually just added Judo.
Okay.
We got a great Judo coach out here. Found out he's also a veteran.
Nice.
So we have that. We have yoga. And then one of the things that I know that we share this as well, obviously both being military and especially you with a police officer for a spouse, the combatives part, man.
Yeah.
The combatives part was really, really important to me. Coming from the community I was at, so I can't remember who told me this, but he said the military has a lot of people that can shoot really well but can't fight.
Yeah.
And that really rung home to me because I was like, that's true. It's true. So I want to make sure that, we provide military and law enforcement with the opportunity to train in a place that's realistic, and they're not being taught like how to play guard or how to do tripod sweeps or like those things. Obviously, situationally they're going to work, but it's mostly like I want to be able to have a facility and have a platform to bridge the gap between somebody who wants to recreationally or even competitively do jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai and say, okay, well, here's the next step. And especially for the military and law enforcement people, where today like the stigma is so bad, it's so much more important, I think, now to teach specifically cops how to fight and how to control somebody so that the worst case scenario doesn't happen and they're put in a predicament where they feel that, okay, my life is legitimately in danger over something that maybe could have been controlled. So
you bring up a couple good points there. And so let me rewind a little bit. So initially when we started Workplay Obsession, that was our mission. That was our mission. Mission statement was bridging the gap between traditional martial arts and combatives for law enforcement, military, and first responders. So that was our original mission statement, and the same concept where, we have people that train in schools and they train the sport and some self-defense, and then you have the military who was training very specific scenarios. And I wanted to bridge the gap because there's techniques and situations and mindset that's involved with both of those that need to come together. But you hit on something that Matt Larson always brings up. So that's probably who you heard it from Matt Larson. So
yeah, probably.
Shout out to Matt Larson. So what he says is it's a great, great story that I've probably heard it a handful of times because it's so powerful when you sit down with a group of military folks and you tell this story. Almost everyone in the room will say, huh, he's right. So what he says is he's like, if you walk into a group of military people and you say, who's the fastest guy in the room? Everyone will point and say, oh, Joe's the fastest guy in the room. Okay, who's the best shooter in the room? Everyone will turn and say, oh, Steve, he's the best shooter. And you say, okay, well, who's the best fighter?
The topaz.
And I wish. But they say, hey, who's the best fighter in the room?
Yeah.
And it goes silent. Because they don't train. So it says that immediately shows you where their values lie, where their training is at. They run all the time, so they know who's the best runner. You shoot all the time, but they don't practice fighting, so they have no idea.
Yeah.
And sometimes he leads with that, or he gets to it with after the first lesson, and people kind of sit there and they say, wow, we need to probably step up our training a little bit. It's very powerful. When I heard it the first time, I was like, dang.
Yeah, no, it hits. It hits. And to play devil's advocate, right? So I get the argument. So they say humans are more important than hardware, right? Obviously, it's one of the soft truths. It's like soft truth number one.
Yeah.
Man, I steal quotes, right? I steal things from people, so I can't take credit for it. But I remember somebody saying the Air Force and the Navy, their weapon system is generally speaking going to be an aircraft or an aircraft carrier or a missile. Whereas your ground fighting forces, your Marines and your Army, the weapon system is a human. Yeah. So I thought about that in relation to combatives, right, or to fighting. And I was like, okay, well, I see where the rub is. And I remember in 2008, Admiral Olson, I believe it was Admiral Olson, he had put out a memo to all of SOCOM. He said, mixed martial arts is banned for SOCOM members. Yeah. And
I know that.
And I remember just learning Jiu Jitsu. I was trying to join Team Rock in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and they're like, look, you can't do it. I'm like, no, it says I can't compete. And they're like, no, because if you get hurt, you're non-deployable.
Yeah, exactly.
So with regards to what I was saying, you get that rub where it's like there's this fine line. I want you to learn how to fight, but I don't want you to get hurt. Yeah, and in a thing like combatives or jiu-jitsu, or even Muay Thai, you get a concussion, or man, you roll your ankle, or you're out. You get a blast double, and you land on your knee. You're gone for 7-8 months.
And that's the challenge, right? Because a lot of commanders don't support it from the beginning. Yeah. And now once you have an injury or two, it's like, nope, scrap the entire program. Yep. So just to go back for a second, just to throw a plug, shout out to West Point, go Army, beat Navy. But when you brought up, it's a recruiting pitch that they actually use at the military academy, United States Military Academy at West Point. They say, hey, if you go to Naval Academy in Annapolis, you'll see, ships, and photos of ships and things like that. You go over to the Air Force Academy, you'll see photos of planes and science and development. It's like you come here to West Point, you come up to the Military Academy at West Point, you will see statues of people. Yeah, man. Because the Army is about people. Yeah. So that's one of their big things, and it reminded me of that when you said that.
It's real, man.
Because that's where the value.
And I'm speaking as an Air Force veteran. Like I love the Air Force. I mean, the Air Force is great, man. It's a strategic deterrent. But man, the truth of the matter is that airplane, it's about that airplane. Yeah. It's about that missile system.
So it's interesting, and I love all the programs you have here. It's great to be able to bring someone in and say, hey, this is where my interest is, but then also another day you introduce them to something else, and they get that little bit of, they get a taste of it, and now they're training in everything.
And that's how it's been
here too. And you
have
that holistic approach to training, which is really what you need anyway. Yeah. Right. Tony Blauer likes to say, don't confuse technical for tactical. Right. And what he means there is, sometimes you have this unconscious bias, right, where your mind thinks, hey, I'm always going to headbutt this guy. That's your favorite move. I'm always going to headbutt this guy. Sure. So that's your unconscious bias. But then when the shit hits the fan, your mind's frozen because you're confused this technical, I'm always going to headbutt this guy, with tactical to getting off and off.
You ain't lying.
Punch, kick, whatever. You're not doing anything. You're waiting for the opening for the headbutt. Yeah. So he uses a good scenario of a guy comes in and jumps off his motorcycle. Hey, you MFer, you cut me off, you piece of shit. In your mind, you're thinking, I'm going to headbutt this guy. Word. But you didn't realize that he's got a helmet on because he just got off a fucking motorcycle. Because your situational awareness is in the trash. So he likes to say, don't confuse technical for tactical. And that goes back to sticking with only one mode of training. Because now, in my mind, I'm always looking for, the drop Seonagi.
Oh, yeah. No, I hear you.
All the time. And I miss the foot sweep that's right there, or the arm drag, or just to push him off and move, because in my mind I'm like, oh, drop Seonagi, I got to get in there,
Yeah.
It's very guard. Or even just pull guard. I like how you mock the tripod sweep. So for the record, people, he mocked the tripod sweep. But let me tell you something. The tripod sweep, I teach the tripod sweep in combatives training for one reason. I teach it from the flash knockdown. Yeah. So I like to tell a guy, because you don't always get the opportunity to get off first. I mean, that's the intent. But the flash knockdown, that for some reason your situational awareness was in the toilet, and you get it, but you wake up just enough in time, there's that split second opportunity where it's there. It's a funny little thing, but I have shown it to people for that reason.
I brought up tripod sweep only because I just learned it yesterday. So it's the freshest move. I've got that and the balloon sweep. And I'm like, that's.
I'm a huge fan of the tripod sweep. But anyway, I want you to get back to your feet. Is goal number one.
Oh yeah.
Get back to your feet. So, what's next? I mean, I know you guys have the grand opening.
Yeah.
And then we've got Trap. The Trap BJJ Invitational will be held here.
Yeah.
May 11th. Pretty excited for that. Any big events lined up after that?
No, man. As much as I want to do events, like I was just talking to somebody about maybe getting Dwayne Ludwig out here.
Nice.
Right? I'm like, that'd be great, right? And I thought about it. I'm like, okay, we're brand new, right? The truth is that we're brand new. We don't have enough people for me to spend on the fancy things that ultimately, I know you'll learn a ton from Dwayne Ludwig. You'd learn a ton from Fabio Gergel or from Lucas Lepre or from any of the local black belts here. For me to put on a big seminar event like that is more so to be, at least in my eyes, it's more for publicity. Right. It's to get people from any gym out here and say, hey, look, I've got a big name here. At the end of the day, the right thing to do is to invest back into the program. Yeah. So if I have a $2,500 fee, a $3,000 fee, a $6,000 fee for like your big names out there, if you're Danaher's and your whatever it is, I could take that money and put it into something to have a core program here for the members so that when we are able to invest that $6,000, $7,000, whatever it is, that they are so much more, built on a foundation that they take more from it rather than, rather than, we know, right? Yeah. You get the one stripe white belt who immediately is like, hey, look, so about that outside Senkaku to heel hook, can you transition from that, from a scissor sweep? Or, it's like, dude, can you pass a guard yet? Can you break a guard yet? Can you hold posture? So that's what I think the right thing to do is not put on big events unless it is a Trap Invitational. More so just invest back into the people,
absolutely. Absolutely. No, I think that's good because you're right. Sometimes without that foundation, you don't have the opportunity to get as much out of a seminar as you probably should for the amount of money and time that you're putting into it as an individual, right? Because these things all cost money. So once you build that foundation and you have that more awareness, like I was telling some guys this morning that I was training with down in Virginia, that you have that tunnel vision, so to speak, right? And you only see the technique itself. Yeah. You don't see the rest of the transitions that are there. You don't see alternate grips or So I'm like, hey, you're just pounding away at this one technique. To bring in someone that's teaching, there may be positions you've never seen before. Yeah. And how are you going to drill that when you're going to be completely lost at that point? I feel like it's almost a disservice to them, for the amount of money they're paying and the time. So. Yeah,
it's that, and like you said, right, those details, right, the grips. Something simple like, hey, four fingers in, thumb up. Yeah. Or 4 fingers in, thumb down. Yeah. That's something that when you're, brand new, it's like, I'm just like, how do I take that dude down? Yeah. You know what I mean? So, not to say that, not to say the seminars are worthless. Obviously, as a white belt, I took a Lucas Lepre seminar. I took, a Fabio Gergel seminar. I took seminars, and I got a lot of it. But I just think that personally, as a business owner, I think the right thing to do is invest in the members first. So.
No, it's solid. I can't argue with that. I think that's a great plan. So, we just already asked you, nothing else. We hit all the big stuff that's on the schedule, big things that are coming on, classes, instructors. Anything else you wanted to hit on? Anything else? Open mic for you, man.
Yeah.
You want to talk about?
No, I appreciate it. No, there's nothing in particular, right? It's mostly, I'm humble, man. I'm humble in this game. I know that I'm a blue belt, right? Coming into the martial arts game, really, really, I guess you could say early in your martial arts career. So I want people, especially local jiu-jitsu schools, to know that I'm not here competing. Yep. I'm here trying to provide a positive outlet for people.
That's it, man.
I've lost friends to crime, to drugs, and I've been, in situations where if I didn't have somewhere good to go, or if I didn't have like a good core group of friends, I would probably have gotten in trouble. And the way I see it is that if I can give a place that's cool as hell, we play dope music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a cool spot and it's a chill vibe. And it's not overly like overbearing to where it's like, man, every time I go there, man, I feel like my shirt's starched. You know what I mean? I feel like that's what we want to do here, not necessarily compete business. Now,
awesome.
as a business owner, man, if that is what works, awesome, man. It's great. I hope we can grow this place to 5, 6, 7, 800 students. Like, that's the goal as a business, but it's not as much about the business to me. I have a day job.
Yeah.
As long as I can pay the bills here, as long as, you know, my wife who's running the program, shouts out to Rita, she's running the desk, she's running, I mean, everything administratively. Thankfully, I have friends in the community that are helping promote it. I've got a great instructor in Alexander Bueno. You know, my cousin Jay is helping with marketing. Great partner in Pasha. And I got great friends, you, JP, and you know, people like that aren't. I don't know. This is a rant, man, but like you get people you feel, you know that they're happy for you, but on the sly, they're like, man, he ain't never gonna make it. You know what I mean? It's like we ain't never gonna make it anywhere if we can't be there for each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you know, go together, right?
There you go, guys.
And,
I think that's a great note right there.
Yeah, and there's plenty, man. There's plenty for everybody, man. That's
Because that, yeah. No, I was gonna say because that not only serves for the gym as a business, but it stands for people as a community,
100%.
and it extends to jiu-jitsu as a team.
Yeah.
You know, you can bring in one grappler, and they can train to be the best by themselves, or you can bring in a team where everybody learns and builds off each other.
Yeah.
So I think that's great, man.
Jiu-jitsu is the biggest one.
I think we can talk forever. I think we need to cut here so we can make a part 2.
Yeah.
Because we talk all the time. I know we can talk forever.
We can, man.
So I think what we'll do, we'll cut this. We'll get it out to the people. I want to get it out soon. And then we'll do it. We'll just do another part 2, man.
Let's do it, man. I can talk this all day.
That's what
you know, I don't shut
can.
up, man.
I know we can.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me out. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
May 4th, I got to check my watch again. Grand opening, May 4th.
1 to 4. If you can make it, if this gets out before tomorrow, we'd love to have you.
I'm going to try to get it out tonight. I'm going to run home, try to get it out tonight.
We got food. We got open mat, man. It's just going to be chill. If you didn't make it, man, you missed all kinds of food. It was the best. It was the most epic, tremendous grand opening for a jiu-jitsu gym you could have ever imagined. Sorry you couldn't make it.
Guys, as a closeout, Trap BJJ Invitational, May 11th, here, Compound, Silver Spring. Check it out. Wordplay Obsession, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, sometimes Snapchat, not really, but it exists, so you can check it out.
I ain't figured it out yet.
Yeah, you can check it out. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Until next time, keep grinding.